basically going to be the nomination of this executive director. And it is my great pleasure to present to you the executive director of the year. This chapter executive exemplifies the best there is of association leadership and management. Her many accomplishments over the past year have emerged from her steadfast advocacy, her leadership in community coalitions, her rapid response to opportunities, her high expectations of herself and others, and her willingness to go out on a limb. Coupled with these qualities, her strong organizational, administrative, and financial planning skills make her a leader among leaders. This executive has been the director for almost 9 years. From my close-up vantage point over the past 3.5 years, I have watched the chapter go from very good to great. I will illustrate what I mean by highlighting activities that were introduced in the past year and some that have come to fruition this year, but were initiated in past years under her direction. Most impressive are the advances that the chapter has made in the legislative arena, and in particular in the areas of health and mental health and health care. Proactive in response to the state's health payment reform efforts, she established an advisory group made up of high-level NASW social workers that has mounted the legislative process for more than 2 years. She and members of this group have worked closely with the legislature, the state human service agencies, and our members and leaders to influence the direction of health and payment reform in our state. NASW's staff crafted the language regarding the role of social work for the bill introduced by the governor. When the legislature passed its comprehensive integrated health care reform law in 2012, the role of social work was highlighted in 2 important areas. 1, social workers would be appointed to at least 2 major implementation groups, the Health Policy Commission and the Behavioral Health Task Force. And 2, the legislation called for a loan forgiveness program for behavioral health practitioners working in underserved areas. While this loan forgiveness program opportunity would be open to social workers and clinicians from other disciplines, it came to be in large part because of NASW's efforts to secure loan forgiveness. The chapter's efforts in the area of health reform have also included the education of our members. The highlight of the chapter's educational outreach was a chapter-wide conference held that brought NASW CEO Betsy Clark and other healthcare experts to our state. Well attended and highly praised, the conference spawned a smaller group of educational forums across the state as well. In addition, this executive initiated an important project with deans of schools of social work and hospital social work directors. Several years ago, she had established NASW connections with both of these groups separately and has met with them on a regular basis around student issues in former and research medical social work with the latter. She has now helped establish a forum in which 2 groups will work together to update the social work curriculum in the area of health reform. The chapter's most recent accomplishment was signing of the Social Workplace Safety Bill into law in early 2013. Most striking is that the bill was passed in the first legislative session in which it was introduced. And we all know that hardly anything gets passed in the first legislative session. The passage of this bill is the culmination of several years of work on safety issues under her direction. Several years ago, when a social worker was murdered on the job, she convened a safety summit that included leaders of the field from academia, clinical administration, and from the state human service commissions. That group conducted research and created training materials on the many aspects of violence prevention for mental health and social service settings. In 2011, another safety summit was held to explore next steps. This happened to coincide with another tragic murder of a mental health worker in our state. By 2012, members of this group had trained a cadre of approximately 50 potential trainers in violence prevention and safety measures. Now that the agencies are required by the new law to implement safety protocols, they will be able to seek training and guidance from a large pool of trainers through NASW. And finally, there are the unexpected crises to which she has responded in a timely and creative fashion. 3 examples are: 1, on short notice, the executive director and the staff set up meetings in 2 parts of the state to train members in the use of new procedure codes established by insurance companies. 2, in January 2013, due to insurance companies' problems in coordinating their new codes, many private practitioners were not reimbursed for services provided until well after the expected date. She was on the phone setting up meetings with 2 of the largest insurers in her state and got information for private practitioners in the chapter. And 3rd, in response to the liability insurance crisis, she and members of her staff organized a virtual town meeting to explain the situation, go over coverage options, and correct members' misconceptions brought on by the sudden change in the relationship between ASI and the former liability insurance company. This executive director has taken the chapter to great heights. She has turned crisis into opportunities within the profession in several critical areas as outlined above. Especially in the past 3 years as president, I have heard many accolades about our chapter from members from other mental health professions and from state legislators with whom we work closely. Her leadership has made NASW a force to be reckoned with. So now please join me. It is my distinct pleasure and honor to introduce to you the 2013 Executive Director of the Year. Please join me in welcoming CarolTrust.
I grew up in New Hampshire and in Maine, and folks back there would say, wicked sweet. Hi, Chris, President-elect. I was waiting for you. Awards Committee, Chairwoman Deborah Briggs, and the rest of you, thanks so much for this terrific honor. Every year when the award for the executive director is announced, and I hear what you all have done, I think, my God, how do they do it? You know, some of you all it's just you and a part-time administrative assistant, and you get through hurricanes, and you get through tornadoes, and I wonder, how do you get it all done? And, you know, when do you do your laundry? When do you get your hair cut? You know, it's just fantastic, and I'm just really in awe of being part of this family of executive directors. And now I'm one of you. So I'm really pleased. And of course, I want to thank my president, Betty Morningstar, for allowing me to do some of the outrageous things that we do at our chapter, and for our president-elect, Dr. Chris Hudson, who's here today, who's already given me enormous support in continuing some of the outrageous initiatives that we do. And of course, my staff. I just feel like I'm the drum major of a fabulous band, the Olympians of Massachusetts. So I cheer them on, and they do most of the work. And as I think of my connection to the social work profession, and more specifically as my role as an executive director, I see that this is really the perfect place for me. When I was in social work school, I first signed up to be what they called, in those days, not clinical, but it was a caseworker. And I kind of liked that. My first assignment was at Vacaville Medical Facility, which is a prison for convicted felons, but it has in California, it has a mental health component, and I felt just so special. I felt almost like a benign voyeur when the guys would come in and tell me about why they were incarcerated. But then I saw some of the professors I went to UCal Berkeley, and gee, they were pretty remarkable too. They were talking about policy and changes and sit-downs in front of the administration building, in front of the Berkeley campus, and I thought, gee, I think I'd like to do that. So I switched from casework, or clinical, I switched over to community organization, because I wanted to do both. And I see that the job that we have as executive directors is kind of like both. We're clinicians. I think I have 8,300 clients in Massachusetts. Those are my patients, and I use my clinical skills with them. And then we're able to go to the State House, meet with the Secretaries of Health and Human Services, and I feel like that's my CO world. That's what I do around policy. And I think that's what we all do. We're clinicians, we're community organizers, we're policy people. We do it all. And I just feel so pleased to be part of this family. I also am reminded of our listserv. I feel that whenever I have a question about how to do something, whether it's how to deal with a personnel issue with my wonderful staff, or how to do something with the legislature, and I go on the listserv, whether it's the Google or the chapter, I get $10,000 worth of consultation for free from you all. I mean, you are my consultants, and I just feel I don't have to write a check to you. I just feel I'm just so lucky. As I think about my work, my life as an executive director, I'm reminded of a Zen saying. It goes something like this. A master in the art of living makes little distinction between work and play, between labor and leisure, between love and religion, hardly knowing which is which. A master is doing both. And that seems to be the way I work, and that I know you do, my dear colleagues. So this award is for all of us masters in the art of living. It's just so neat to be part of this community. My daughter said that was a corny word to use, neat. Just seems to fit. I thank you, my network of smart people, for asking all the great questions you post on the listserv, for the thoughtful answers you give. Walter, Jan Lee, Marty, Chairman Cardona, wise and non-judgmental Ray. We've chosen a profession that is indeed a way of life. I'm so grateful for the tribute. I'm thrilled, and I want you to know the game tonight starts at 7 o'clock between the Nationals and the Chicago Red Sox.
White Sox.
Just wanted to make sure you were listening. Thanks so much.